Hi guys, so here I'm Rory here, co-founder of Sublime Trading, here with the daily update for the UK and US indices for Friday the 26th of June. Alright guys, hope you're well, hope you've had an excellent week. So let's get into the US indices first. Yesterday was a great example of why you never want to look at the candlestick during the day and you always want to focus on the end of day candlestick. First of all, price is still inside the range of June. We're still waiting for price to move out of this range and ideally to the upside, as price is in a bullish trend, and it has been a bullish trend since March, since its recovery from COVID-19. Now what we have seen is weakness this week towards support levels. Now yesterday in particular we saw further weakness at the start of the day from Wednesday. So Wednesday was a bearish day. We saw further weakness at the start of play yesterday, and then price found support, and by the end of the day we saw pretty strong looking bullish bars. Overall though, price is still in consolidation. We still need to see a breakout. Price is still holding at these support levels. This is what we want to see, and ultimately we want these support levels to hold strong, and then when price is ready we want to see price bounce off these levels. Now if we look at price action today, we've seen bearishness today, but price is still holding at these support levels. And the bigger picture is, if you look at the actual stocks that we are investing in, the movement of this week has had very little impact. Yes, profit and loss is moving up and down as you would expect in areas of consolidation, but ultimately that's just part and parcel of the process. You can't expect your profit column to just be shooting up. For it to go up, it first needs to come down, and then it finds support, and then it moves back up again. Then it starts moving up, it finds an area of resistance, it pulls back, finds support, then it moves up again. Generally, support levels are much stronger than resistance levels in a bull trend, so resistance levels will get broken. Ultimately, we're still standing aside, applying patience and waiting for these breakouts from the consolidation that price is in. The same with the UK stock market. Still, the FTSE 100 is still trading within an area of consolidation. We want to see breakouts, but the actual stocks that we're investing in, they're holding strong. They have moved into a little area of consolidation again, profit and loss moving up and down, but at the same time some of the positions we've got running, they're actually triggering compounds and offering further breakout opportunities. So this is what happens when you scan for the stocks that are performing better than the indices. When the indices are pulling back or going into consolidation, the best performing stocks are still moving up and breaking out. So overall though, we can see that price is probably going to close within this area of consolidation by the end of play today. Very unlikely it's going to we're going to see a huge bullish bar and breakout. Never say never, but that's very, very unlikely. Price is going to close within this area of consolidation. Then we've got a couple of days left before the end of the month as we move into next week, so it'll be interesting to see where price ends the month and we see price move into July. But for now, on the indices, price still in consolidation and we're waiting for breakouts. But always remember, focus on the end of day candlestick and focus on the stocks that are performing better than the indices. Okay guys, that's me for today. We're going to get into the charts, but if you're not going to look at the charts, have a lovely weekend ahead and I will be back on Monday. So guys, if you're new to these daily updates, then I recommend starting with the recording that's pinned to the top of our Facebook page so that you get a good understanding of what I go through in these charts. This is our 3-screen setup. We have the monthly in the top left, weekly in the top right, and our daily chart down here across the bottom. Starting with the monthly time frame on the S&P 500, we can see June is looking like an indecision candlestick at an area of resistance. If we move across to the weekly, price above the 200 and the 50 simple moving averages, you can see price is still inside this area of consolidation. But remember guys, after every trend, the market consolidates. So that's what we're seeing at the moment. And we can see that in more detail on the daily. Price is holding at the 200 simple moving average. We had a bearish day on Wednesday. Yesterday price bounced off support, so we had a bearish day on Wednesday to the 200 moving average. Price bounced off support on a bullish day yesterday, and we can see a bearish day again today. So ultimately price is just trading inside a weekly range, inside a bigger range. What we want is a breakout. Ultimately we want to see these areas of support hold strong. If the 200 moving average is broken, then we've still got the 50 simple moving average below that. So we want to see this area hold strong, and remember the low of June as well is an area of support. So we've got a strong area of support here that if the 200 moving average is broken, then we could still see price bounce to the upside. Overall though, price in an area of consolidation, so patience needed until we get the breakout. We're waiting for that breakout of the high of June to suggest that continuation. Okay, moving across to the Nasdaq, pretty similar setup, except the Nasdaq is creating all-time highs. You can see it's now finding resistance around that 10,000 round number. That's expected. On the weekly, price above the 200 and the 50 simple moving averages. An indecision week this week so far, and on the daily, price above all three moving averages. You can see how the 20 simple moving average is holding a support. We want to see a breakout above the high of June to suggest a continuation. If the price weakens further, then remember we've got the previous all-time high of February just directly below that. The Dow Jones is lagging behind. It's an indecision candle, but you can see it's a little bit off the high of last year. The S&P 500 is directly below, and the Nasdaq's actually above it. So you can see the Dow Jones is lagging behind. Indecision candlestick so far for the month of June. Weekly price above the 200 and the above the 200 moving average, but below the 50 simple moving average where it's finding resistance. Ultimately, we want to see price break through and continue to the upside. On the daily time frame, you can see this area of consolidation, similar setup to the S&P 500, where price is finding an area of support at the low of June, and you can see price already at the 50 simple moving average. The S&P 500 was just above the 50 simple moving average, but finding support at the 200 simple moving average. Ultimately, both very similar looking charts. What we want to see is price find support and a breakout to the upside. Moving across to the S&P 500 mini, just on the daily time frame, we can see bearishness, which meant that we did see that bearishness today as the markets opened. On the FTSE 100, if we start on the monthly time frame, you can see again price still finding resistance at those areas we've been monitoring all month. On the weekly time frame, price is below both moving averages and in this area of consolidation, and on the daily time frame as well, price is below the 200 moving average, but you can see finding support at the 50 simple moving average. So it's walking along the 50 simple moving average as support. So we want to see price bounce off this level and move back to the upside. We had a bit of bullishness today, but the 20 simple moving average is holding strong as resistance, and we've seen an intraday reversal. Another great example of why you don't want to get up in such small moves. If you look at today's candlestick in relation to the overall trend, it's a tiny candlestick, and this is where people lose a lot of money. Whereas if you can go in the direction of the trend, that's really where the long-term wealth is created. So overall though, guys, across the board, we can see price still inside consolidations. What we want is the breakout, and ideally that breakout to the upside. So let's see how today ends. I'll be back on Monday. Remember, we could still see a very different looking candlestick by the end of the day. Institutional money tends to come in the last half an hour of the day. So today's candlestick could even look very, very different. But ultimately, we'll see on Monday how today closes, and we'll then have a better idea of how June could end, and then we could see price action into July. So I'll be back on Monday, guys. Have a lovely weekend.